Do you need to build a massive base to complete Grounded? The answer to that question is no. Building a base is completely optional. However, in this video, I'm going to show you my favorite new spot to build a base. What I want to do first, though, is show you that you don't really need a base, and that's because this is the base that I used, if you want to actually call this a base, in my new complete playthrough that I started after the game fully released. So I started a new save on September 27th, and initially what I had planned on doing was building a base for this save, but what I did was I threw a bunch of stuff over here on the lily pad as I was doing the pond lab, and basically just ended up keep putting more and more stuff here and never got around to actually building a base. I ended up completing both endings, doing 99% of the content. I think I have a couple milk molars left to collect, and then I'll have the 100% on the report card. But as you can see here, I have nothing fancy, just put a bunch of stuff over here. It ended up being super helpful because what ended up happening was I only ended up getting one faction raid, and it was like a single mosquito. So this was just a very unexpected and unplanned place to build a base, and it just worked out perfectly fine. However, I started a new WoW mode playthrough and ended up wanting to build a base in that one because I wanted to build a proper base to take advantage of the building system, which is one of the more fun aspects of the game. So what I want to do now is I want to show you where I decided to build this base and why I decided to build it there, in case you're starting fresh or maybe you're looking for a base location that you never used before. So let's head on over there real quick and I'll show you where that is. So as I've mentioned in other base building videos, there's a couple things I'm looking for when looking for a specific spot to build. And that's going to be, number one, is it centrally located? So is it in a good area where I can get to and from the other places in the map where I want to get to without having to spend tons and tons of time running back and forth or building massively long zip lines? Number two, does it have proximity to resources that are going to be needed, especially early game? And then, of course, you might still need them late game. And number three, with the faction reactivity added, is it also a place that will be fairly easily defended while also being able to participate in faction reactivity raids? Lily pad base that I built over there, obviously I would not get any faction reactivity outside of mosquitoes or bees because nothing can reach it, and that was completely unplanned. I did not plan on going through that playthrough without actually having to participate in any of them, but on my new WoW mode playthrough I definitely wanted to participate in them. So what I did was I looked around the map and I kind of wanted to find a spot that I'd never built on before, and this is the place that I stumbled upon. And the reason for that is it checked off all those boxes for me. So number one, it's centrally located. This is pretty much dead center in the grasslands here. So it's just to the northeast of the Mysterious Machine. This is where I'm located right here. It also is close to the Tropico Punch Box. So that'll be the easy way for you to spot it. So the Tropico Punch Box is over there. We have the laser here and the laser here. So it's basically this plateau up here. Now I've traversed this plateau many times going back and forth to the oak tree, but I'd never built here before. And the reason I decided to do it was, in addition to that central location, it also had this really cool feature here with the leaf that was overhanging the rock, which I thought I could incorporate into my base, which I'm going to show in just a second. I'm going to switch over to my other save and show you the base that I've actually built so you can get an idea of how I took advantage of this and how I built my base. It also has proximity to lots of resources. So as an example, right here is a stump here. So I can put sap catchers on here, or I can just go further up to the tree. But I have a couple sap catchers here. Then it also has lots of dew. The grass that's overhanging up here, before I even had the ability to build a dew collector, I would always find dew in the morning, so I didn't really have to go running around looking for water, and that's a huge thing in WoW mode specifically because you get hungry and thirstier way faster. As you can see, there's dew collecting there. There are also mushrooms here, so there's a little source of food. You're close to the tree for acorns, but having these mushrooms here attracts weevils. So basically every day, if you wake up and come out in the morning, there's going to be a couple weevils here, especially if you pick one or two of these up and just drop them on the ground. There will just be weevils everywhere, and as you can see, a couple of them are just kind of stuck in the ground over here. There's always weevils here, so there's easy weevil roast to fill you up. And then last but not least, this thing is going to be super easy to defend for faction reactivity just because of the way the terrain is set up. So as you can see on the backside here, there's no way for enemies to get up except for the stick, but enemies, as far as I've seen, do not walk up this stick. So that's kind of like a little way for you to get into the base, but over here, you're going to notice there's just no way for them to get up except for this front location. So basically the front third of this is all you're going to have to defend. So what I want to do now is I want to hop over to my WoW mode save and show you exactly what I've built so you can get an idea and maybe take some inspiration from it, or perhaps give me some suggestions down in the comments on how you would improve what I built. So this is the same exact location, but on my new WoW mode save. And what I want to do before we go inside is I want to show you the outside first, and that's the sap catchers over here. So as I mentioned, this place has a good spot to put sap catchers right outside of it, which is fairly safe because honestly, other than some larvae coming over here, I haven't really seen anything. I do think a wolf spider might patrol down this way. So far, I haven't seen that, but I currently have 4 sap catchers up here. They each get 5 sap a day, so that's 20 sap. There's also some sap back on the stick that's behind this thing, which we'll show you in just a second. But what I want to do is go inside and show you how I kind of progressed through building this thing. So obviously I didn't build the fence first because that takes quite a bit of weed stems. What I initially did was just have my chests and crafting, like the workbench and roasting spit just down here. I think I had the roasting spit up on the rock just to prevent any ants from eating my food because they kept trying to get to the food. And then eventually what I did was I decided I wanted to put down a foundation here. I ended up choosing clay over stone because I felt it kind of blended it with the terrain better, where so it matches the color scheme here. And the reason I put the foundation down is because it lets you have a level building. You can see here the terrain sticking through in a couple spots. Putting the foundation down just makes it much easier to place things. It also makes it easier to place your walls, and it just I would recommend doing that if you're building in a place that doesn't have flat terrain, which most places do not. So after I built that, put the clay foundations down, I ended up expanding upward. So I was originally trying to use spiral stairs, but I couldn't get them to work. So I ended up just using these 2 sets of grass stairs that take me up on top of the rock. So we're using the rock that's here as basically a foundation piece inside of it. On the second floor, we currently have the spinning wheels, the jerky racks, and a grinder. I also have the dew collector sitting out here on this little porch area or deck area here. That way in the morning when I wake up, I can just come out here and quickly just get a couple drinks and not have to worry about it. Also, as I mentioned, there's lots of grass around here, so you can just get dew from those as well. And then up top here, currently I have my little bedroom area. And this is just kind of an area where I can go up to and I can look around, so I can quickly scout the surrounding areas in case I'm getting a faction or activity before I go out in the morning, just to make sure there's not any spiders wandering around that I'm not aware of. The only thing I've currently noticed is that larvae do pass through the front here occasionally, but they're not really that big of a deal at this point for me. But this is just going to be a very easy spot to go up to and scout out, especially if I am getting raided and I want to see which direction they're coming from. I can get up here. This also gives you a bird's eye view of everything that I was talking about. So as I showed before, the back 2/3 of this, so all the way around to all the way over here, is basically a plateau, so the enemies can't get up there. So whenever a faction reactivity occurs, they're all going to be even if they spawn back here, they're going to have to funnel around to the front. I did have a red ant faction raid, and it was super easy because there was only a couple of them, but they all had to attack from the front here, so they basically came to the gate, and I just took them out. And then one other thing I want to mention before we hop out of here is this little stick back here, which provides a cool thing. So aside from the fact that it has sap on here, it also gives me the advantage to quickly get into my house. So I can jump up here and I can quickly get into the second and then the third floors by just going right up here, which allows me to get into my house quickly. So that's useful if I'm trying to get away from something. If I just want to come in here and dump my resources off, I can just run up here, press the hot deposit, it'll dump everything, and then I can get right back out. Or if I need to get up top to see where the raid's coming from. And then last but not least is there's also lots of food sources here. So there just happens to be mushrooms out here. And what the mushrooms mean are there's going to be weevils nearby. So let's see if as you can see, there's weevils here. So I can collect these weevils every morning, eat weevil roast, or turn it into something, or jerky, and then they'll be back the next day. And all I have to do is make sure the ants aren't coming around killing them. But as you can see, even without dropping mushrooms, actually, I think I have 1 mushroom dropped here. So dropping a mushroom or 2 will attract these things. You can actually, and actually having them attracted here is going to give you tons of red ant parts, which you need for making some of the early crafting stations. So overall, it's just a really, really, really good spot to build. I've never built here before. It's going to be interesting to see how my entire playthrough goes through. The only thing I haven't done yet on here is I plan on probably trying to fill this space in because you can kind of walk through it and there was no easy way to block it in. I think what I'm doing is building a zipline tower here that goes up. That'll be my central hub that takes me to like the oak tree, over to the hedge, over to the haze area, and everywhere else that I need to go. And then one other thing I didn't mention was there is a couple field stations close by. So obviously you have the one up here that's by the oak tree. That's a little more dangerous to get to because you got to go past the orb weavers. There's one over here that's the original one you run past, but I normally go to this one over here, which is towards the flooded zone over here. The reason I do that is the only thing that's on my way between there and here in the field station are a couple of lawn mites, and all the lawn mites do is give me free mite fuzz and also allow me to upgrade my mutations because they're super easy to take out. Even on woe mode with your fish, you can take them out in a couple punches. So anyway, that's basically all the reasons I built here. Let me know if you think this is a cool spot. Let me know if you've built here before, and let me know if you have any suggestions on how I can expand this thing out to make it even better in the comments down below. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit the like button, and here's another video you might want to watch as well.